Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Lurking for Legends, a live video cast where my awesome co-host, epic fantasy author Richard H. Stevens, and I speak with people from all walks of the publishing industry. Lurking for Legends is a live, interactive broadcast, and we encourage viewers to chime in with whatever questions they would like to ask our guests and simply make comments on what you hear on the show. So tonight we have rom-com and contemporary romance author Allison Jones, who's also an avid blogger. Welcome, Allison. It is great to have you.
Thanks. It is good to be here, even after my technical issues, but it's good to be here.
We're
Thanks
glad
for
we're
having me. I am too.
Absolutely. And you have a book that's coming out in like 2 days, right? It's 2 days?
2 days. Yes. It's one of those you're excited, but you're incredibly anxious types of things. But yeah, 2 days. My first book called Her Turn will be debuting on ebook and paperback. So be sure to buy it.
Yeah.
Fun.
So this is your first book, Allison?
I'm sorry?
This is your first book, correct?
This is my very first book, yeah. I've been writing for over a decade locally. I had a column with our local newspaper and wrote in regional and local magazines. And then I started a blog as well that I've been cultivating for the last probably 5 or 6 years. But yeah, this is my first published book, so I'm excited.
That is very exciting for sure.
So cool. And tell us all what it's about. I know it's hard to sum up. That's like what nobody wants to be asked that.
Well, Christy knows what it's all about because because I just need to back up a little bit. She's been my nudger. I don't know if you all believe in like how the universe can kind of give you that nudge, but I just happened to find her on Google and I needed someone to edit my manuscript, and she has been amazing, and she helped cultivate a lot of the characters. But the basis of it is around Addie Snyder, who's a 40-something-year-old woman who is raising her Down syndrome brother by herself, and she publishes her first book, and it's very successful. But she's, finding her own way, and there's a love interest, and there's some. I feel like you can get whiplash in this book because there's lots of twists and turns. Just when you think you think one thing's going to happen, another thing happens, and it's funny. I wanted it to be humorous because that's how I write my blog. That's how kind of I live my life. Is I like to laugh a lot, and I wanted something that could be light reading, that people can kind of escape from the darkness of what's going on in the world right now. So I hope people. Well, I know people will like it. It's fun. I love it, and I wrote it.
Absolutely. One of the things that I think is really particularly great about your book is that, like you said, it's light in this, difficult time. We have a lot of challenging things going on, but there's so much lightness and just fun and joy. But at the same time, it's not just all light, right? It's not like just sugar.
Right.
There are complications. There are, the main character, the main male character has PTSD. And while it's not like gone into an, intense depth or anything, it is, relevant to his situation. And I think it's really cool that you have characters that have different kinds of tricky challenges, and they all kind of work through them kind of together in different ways.
I think the whole point of my book is really the foundation of people that normally would be put into society's box, like Owen, who has Down syndrome, or George, who is a very openly gay man. Those people, society kind of puts labels on them, and I wanted this book to be very relatable. I wanted people to be able to see themselves in some of these characters, and Addie's she's very insecure, and she's got abandonment issues, but she's funny and she's quirky, and she's a huge advocate for her brother. And I love how the characters just ended up coming together so nicely, and it helped so much. encourage anybody that's writing, it helps so much to kind of walk through that with someone else. Christy was a great resource. I had another friend whose name was Christy as well. And so it gave me some sort of goals to set for myself. You know, like I have a goal of February 15th for my second book to be done to give to Christy so she can fine tooth comb over it, because, you know, I want to continue that trend. And I think as a writer said, that's really an important to keep that motivation that going. Otherwise you kind of lose the momentum.
That's true.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to have to get Christy on board. It sounds like she's doing a good job with everybody.
She's amazing.
I like I don't read romantic comedy, and so I was on your website and I was checking out your blog and everything, and I encourage everybody to go onto your blog posts and read your interesting little posts there. If your book is anywhere as whimsical as those blog posts, I think it'd be a very enjoyable read, because they were very funny and very true, and very, you know, they're not written too complicated. They're just written perfectly, and I think you get a good feel of your writing right there.
Yeah, I don't know that my family loves all my blog entries, because they are the main. They're good sports, though. You know, I'm living with it's a testosterone-filled home, and my husband's mostly, God love him, and he's probably listening right now, but he's probably the topic of most of my blogs. You know, when you've been married a long time, it's you got to have something to laugh at.
Yeah, I'm glad my wife isn't a writer.
Actually, he told me one time when he said, I just had surgery, and he said he was going to start his own blog, and I said, you know, go for it. You can tell your own side of the story, but until then, this is kind of where I am. And then, you know, I do have experience with Down syndrome, because my oldest son does have Down syndrome. So that gave me a lot of ways to develop Owen as a character. And I want to give a shout out, because my youngest son is away at college right now, but he called me today, and he's halfway through my book. So for a 21-year-old young man to be reading a rom-com that his mother wrote, I'd say that's pretty. And he had lots of good points, and he was excited about it. He did say that I overused the F word a lot, which, so if you're offended by that, you know, you might try to just bleep it out as you read. But I think that is such a big compliment when your family members will actually read it and be like, oh, okay, this isn't awful. This is really good.
I think that's hilarious that it's the son telling the mother to stop using the F word.
Well, you know, I cuss like a sailor, and I'm really reining in my filter tonight. But that's pretty, in our household is pretty free with it. You know, I call it a sentence enhancer. So.
Yes, well, you know what? If depending on my mood, I used to work in a police service, and I used to work in a bakery in a warehouse, and like every second word was the F word. It's a great adjective for
it really
all walks of life, for sure. Yeah.
It fits in every portion of any sort of sentence. So anyway.
So I think you answered, does your personal life experiences enter into your writing? It sounds like a lot of it does.
You know, when I was getting my MFA, it feels like eons ago. One of my mentors said,
what's an MFA?
Master of Fine Arts in Writing.
Okay, thanks.
So, and I got it here in Louisville, Kentucky, at a university, Spalding University. It was their inaugural program, so I was one of their very first graduates. But my mentor was always very adamant, and I'm sure you've heard this: write what you know. And my genre that I actually majored in was writing for children, which, fun fact, that is not a genre that's easy to write. I thought, writing for children, how easy is that going to be? And it was really, really hard. And I wanted books that would be more inclusive, you know, that would have characters like Bailey, my oldest, who has Down syndrome. And my mentor said to me at one point, you're literally preaching to people as you write. And that was a big, you know, lesson for me, that was not the genre that I needed to be in, but I want it. I want characters to be relatable, and I want people like Bailey and other people that have other differences to feel like that they fit into society.
Absolutely. And I love the relationship that, you have between Addie, who is actually Owen's sister. And, you show kind of like all aspects of it. And I like that a lot because it's not just, Owen is not a flat character. You're treating him 3D the way he should be treated. And sometimes when, you have any kind of writing about someone who is differently abled, it can be tricky if somebody doesn't have experience, with that kind of a person. And so yours just comes across so real. And I think that's a huge benefit, of course.
It is. And I really, Owen is a lot like Bailey in many ways. I think all kids are different, and even kids with Down syndrome are very different. And my husband and I have been big advocates in getting him included in the community, which we're so fortunate that we've got such a great support system here. But he is just like any other human being. He can be an asshole. And he likes to push the envelope with his parents. And he's always telling us that I'm a man now, and he's almost 26 years old. So yeah, sure he is, but he's got some he's got some limitations. So he keeps us on, as with both of our boys, they keep us on our toes and test the limits. So they're good sources. They're good teachers for me, and they're also good inspirations for me when I'm writing too.
For sure.
Absolutely. I want to go back to your blog for 1 second, just in a different, like what Richard said is so true. Your blog is hilarious. It's really, really funny. And I like that it can be short, it doesn't have to be like an enormous blog post or anything. It can be short. So like, what have you learned about writing fiction from blog writing? Is there something that other writers could learn if they blogged more or something?
Well, I think, for me, actually my blogging was sort of, it got me into the rhythm of writing regularly. I think when I first started, I wasn't ready to actually go ahead and dive into writing a book, but I felt like the blog was really a good way to make myself accountable. But I don't force it. Like if I don't have anything to write, I'm not going to write just to write. And that's how I treat my actual, writing this book. It's like I'm not an 8-hour-a-day writer. It's just not who I am. Like today I got 2,000 words in, and I was super pumped about that. Tomorrow I might go, I got nothing. I don't want to vomit trash on the page. And that's just my own thing. I don't want to just write to write. I want to write because I love what I put on paper. And when I get excited, when I see, like today, Christy, you're going to be so excited. Today, I finally figured out the whole with one of the characters in my next book. And it was like that whole, like, oh, I've got it. And it just flowed like magic. So, yeah, I think just getting into that rhythm, the blog really helped me do that. And I love having it still, very much incorporated. It's very much how I write. So writing my book was no different.
Yeah, and you post a blog post almost every day, not literally every day, always, but
I'm trying not to, because now that the website has people that subscribe get an email every day, and I'm trying to be very conscientious about not bombarding people with emails, because I don't want them to go, I think I've had enough of her. So I've been trying to do it every other day. My husband made this comment because before the website was live, it was automatically connected to like my Twitter and everything, and he would find it on Twitter, and he's like, "Are you not writing your blog anymore?" And I said, "Well, you're going to have to subscribe now if you would like to get my blog. If you would like to know what I'm writing about you, you will have to subscribe to it."
It's too funny.
So you write romantic comedy, and what or who inspired in you the love of writing and reading romantic comedy?
Oh, well, okay. So if I'm being truly transparent, I might have a reading problem, to the point of if I'm not writing, I am reading. And when I'm saying when I'm reading, it is, it's insane how much I read. But I love like Lucy Score. She's hilarious, and her romantic comedies are just, they're witty and they're funny and they're fast paced and they're she's got the craziest characters, and I love her. I love I think, Christy, didn't I make you read A Window Opens?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this was a book that was suggested to me by a literary agent to kind of by Elizabeth Egan to kind of get the feel about developing characters. And she was another one. That was another writer that just really kind of inspired me in so many ways. I loved how her language. I loved how she was funny without trying to force it. And I think that's the key when you're writing romantic comedies. You don't want to force the humor. You don't want to, it just needs to come naturally. And I can always tell when I'm writing and it doesn't feel natural, that I need to go back and kind of rework that. But no, the sad part is my Kindle has been actually like keeping count of how many days I've read in a row. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And really what's sad is, I'm reading all these romantic comedies and they're downloaded on my Kindle, but everyone in the family seems to get my downloads too. So, they're getting all these romance novels, and it looks a little awkward on, all the testosterone in my home, but whatever works.
Well, we have a question down here. Yeah. This is from David Kelly. He's a sci-fi author. And he says, I've found a lot of romantic comedies to be quite formulaic. Does Allison have any ways she uses to avoid that?
Well, I mean, I'm not quite, is he referring to that there's the same old kind of theme? Is that kind of what he's inquiring?
Yeah, so many times it's like it is the same theme, and to some degree that is what romance readers are looking for. They want it to be a
right.
way.
I mean, I in this particular book, I feel like of course there's the happily ever after, because you can't write romance without the happily ever after. That would be depressing, and that's not the goal. I think with this particular book, I tried to not have the typical there's angst, there's the broody former Navy SEAL, but Addie is not the typical. She's a 40-something-year-old woman who is wearing t-shirts and yoga pants and has no idea what this literary world is about to do. And she's uncomfortable in her own skin, yet she's comfortable in her own skin. She's, it's, so I feel like as the main character, I feel like she's a little different than most of the other characters that I have read. And at least I hope that that's how it comes across. It's hard in romance to make it unique and different. I think that's why I liked Elizabeth Egan's A Window Opens, because she really did make that it was a love story without being this obvious love story. So yeah, it's hard. I think it's a really hard genre to write in, but it's also a really fun genre to write in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and along those lines, one of the things I like about the main character, Addie, is she's not your typical, a lot of times the lead in a romance, the female lead, is perfect. Everything is perfect. She's gorgeous. She's super fit, and everything is great. And just some things are not so great in her life, but as, looks wise and everything, they're always perfect. And I love seeing characters that are a little bit more relatable than that, where somebody is wearing a shirt and it has a stain and they're like, what's the problem? Like,
Right.
I
Like, what
like
do you
that in
mean
your
I need
book.
help dressing? Well, I think that was the best part, is that she does have this metamorphosis by the end of the book, but she hasn't changed who she is by any stretch of the imagination. She's just grown more sure of who she is. And I think that's what I love most about it, is that how she just kind of came across, and she didn't have to change for anybody. She didn't have to change for anybody. And the fact that, I always say this, that people with disabilities in whatever capacity have this really large area of love, and it's unconditional. And I think that that's what comes across with like Owen and Addie is, Addie might not be accepted by a lot of people. She was abandoned a lot, and Owen, doesn't necessarily fit the mold of society, but the two of them together had this amazingly, unconditional love for each other. And with their conflicts, I mean, they're brother and sister, but I think that was one of the biggest things for me, is to see that relationship develop. It was by far kind of my favorite part to write, and also to make one of the not so nice characters a little bit more in the forefront, versus it being kind of like this, she's a supporting. I actually gave her own chapters, so she had a voice in it. So it was really kind of fun to watch that. In fact, my youngest son commented, he goes, it's really hard, going from person to person and writing it from different points of view. And he goes, and you did that really nicely. And I'm thinking, wow, that's really, thanks. I don't care I do care if I sell a book, but if he says that, then it's like winning the lottery.
Extra big win, definitely.
Extra big win.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. You mentioned Owen and your own son have Down syndrome. Our daughter has Down syndrome, and you hit the nail right on the head when you say their love is unconditional. I find with our daughter, she sees everything in black and white. She doesn't muddle everything like the rest of us do, or we paint all these different colors and we confuse everything. Life is really pretty simple if you break it down. And I wish I could see the world the way she does, because she sees everything the way it should be seen.
Absolutely.
And her memory is incredible.
Oh,
we'll go meet 6 people around a campfire, and half an hour later she'll look at someone and call them by name. I haven't got a clue who they are. So, and I think it comes to black and white. She doesn't muddy her thoughts with all these other things that go on. So
it's definitely he's our oldest, and I was 27 at the time, so we had no idea that he was going to have Down syndrome. But between our two boys, they have definitely been the biggest teachers. And I think too, I've always said this to our youngest Bryce, that your brother, it's hard because you can't make it, you're never going to make it an even playing field parenting, but especially when you have a child with a disability. And I said, but I feel like Bailey's given Bryce a bit of an upper hand in dealing with life in general, because he's got a different, I think, a more compassionate outlook of people, and I think you don't get that if you don't have any exposure to people with different needs. So I'm I wouldn't change a thing. I'm incredibly grateful.
And I don't consider it a disability. I consider it a unique ability. She's got an ability that we don't have. And, I think we could learn a lot from people who have disabilities, because they learn to adapt to life, and, and to live a normal life, they have to adapt. And I think they can teach us a lot, for sure. So that's awesome. I'm glad you have that in your book. And that will definitely set it apart from a lot of stories.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important that and there's a lot of books that are starting to address varying degrees of disabilities and whatnot. And I think I love that. It makes me very hopeful that people are starting to see them as.
For sure. It's come a long way for sure.
Yeah.
I also like, on a different topic still with Addie though, I really like that she has like some stuff in her past that is difficult, and it has to do with her mother. So I'm not giving any spoilers here. That happens at the beginning anyway, but she always hears this critical voice in her head, and it can be really hard for her to get past that, and that's part of her journey overall. And I think that that's so relatable because we all have like those critical voices in our head, no matter what the situation, whether it's caused by a particular person or a job we had, or just looking around us and seeing people we feel like are doing better or something. So like I just wanted to say that I think that is just so relatable on every kind of level, no matter what it is that you hear in your head. Everyone hears it.
Right. It's like it's like the old tapes, you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, you're not enough. And, it brings me back to people and you all probably get this, that, you tell someone you write a book and people are like, oh my God, you wrote a book? Like that's amazing. And I feel like there was always kind of a tape in my head going, nobody's going to want to read your book. Nobody's going to want to read. Nobody's going to want to hear what you have to say. And I feel like that, you quiet those tapes when you take that leap of faith. And I really, honestly, it's you get to the point where when you're done with the whole project and you're sending it out into the universe, and then you just hope for the best. And the reality is that I'm really pleased with my product, and I love it, and I hope people love it. And I think people will get a lot of really good feelings after they read it. I want people to feel good after they read it. And I think, and by doing all of that, by accomplishing that, just setting that goal aside, it does shut those old tapes down. Cause I wrote a book.
Are you doing it? Yeah. You can by doing it. That's so true.
I think sorry, go ahead, Christy.
No, actually you go ahead.
I think that tape that you shut down, I think sometimes can come back and keep playing for you as you go. But it's something that you learn to live with after a while. Like, I'm working on my 12th book now, and there's days that I've said here, maybe I should be doing something else. And but you get positive feedback from the strangest places, and it just fuels you to keep going. So always trust in yourself at the end of the day. Believe in yourself, and the world will follow you. So you probably, if you write your next book, you'll probably have those doubts when you're halfway through that book. You're going, what am I doing?
Yeah. I'm thinking, do I really want to write this book? But I really do want to write this book because it is, I really do want to write this book because one of the supporting characters, Nina, in the first book is going to have her own story, and she's a really fun character. And I think, and you all get this, I love getting to know them. They're like my crazy friends that are living in my head. And I love getting to know them. I love what they're all about. And sometimes they were really surprised. Nina surprised me today. I had no idea where we were going with her story today. And we just went on a totally different playing field. And I was like, okay, well, this is where we're going. So yeah, I don't want to stop. I had a friend tell me the other day, she's like, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. I'm going to write a book someday. And I'm like, you have to make that someday today. You can't keep saying, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book, because it won't happen. And I think the biggest problem is people are so concerned about failure. And in my opinion, failure is never trying it, never doing it. You're failing by not even attempting it. And it's hard. It's hard work, but it's so rewarding after it's all said and done, and then you take a breath and then you start again. I want to be one of those writers that is writing like 3 books at one time. You know, I mean, I can't even imagine, but there are people that, you know, because they have a book that comes out, boom, boom, boom. I can't, I'm very, I would get confused doing that, but maybe someday.
So you say your next book is due to go to your editor, which I assume is Christy.
Well, yeah.
Next month. So, but we have a question here from Caroline. Says, how long did it take you to write your first book? And is this your first one? So this is your first one, obviously. How long did it take you to write it?
Well, I'm going to tell you honestly, it's probably been 3 years in the making. But once I sat my ass down and decided this is what I'm going to do, it was probably an 18-month process between sending it to Christy twice and then the whole publishing process. So but I had to sit down and do it. You know, I couldn't make any more excuses. And people will say a lot of things about what's going on in the world and the pandemic, but I like to refer to the pandemic as a universal pause, and it forced me to do a lot of stuff that I was making excuses. Like, I have nothing on my calendar now, so I have no excuse but just sit down and finish it. So, yeah.
So 18 months for this book after you just sat down and knuckled down. How about the second book? How long is the second book taking?
Well, it's probably, I'd say I'm on my 5th month, and I'm about I'm 3/4 of the way done. Nice. And I initially, that's why I contacted Christy. I was like, give me a date. Give me a date that you're open, that you can take this, so I have something to work towards. Otherwise, I was sitting around making excuses like, oh, I'll just, it's Christmas. I don't need to be writing. But, she was kind enough, because I said end of January. She goes, no, I don't have anything till like February 15th. I'm like, even better. I think that's more obtainable. So, yeah, so that's the goal, and that keeps me on track.
Awesome.
I think you said one time, that you are more of a morning writer. Is that right?
Yeah, I like Nobody's Awake, which is delightful. My husband works second shift, so he sleeps late, and Bailey has the whole downstairs. So he is a night owl. He'll stay up till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then get up at like 11. And then Bryce is at school. So I get up and I write for 2 or 3 hours. And I actually have a writing studio that, if I'm not too lazy, I'll go out to it. It was my kids' playhouse, but my husband, and it's a nice playhouse. It's got electricity.
You climb the rope to get up there? Or?
No, it's an actual, like, it's a playhouse. It's a covered porch, replacement windows. I mean, when my husband builds something, he does not cut corners. So I'll go out there and write. But I like the quiet. Because if I get distracted, then it's like it's over. It's like my little friends in my head decide to leave, and I can't regroup after that.
Mm-hmm. I used to think I was a night writer because I was more of a night person. And so I was just like, okay, the only time I can write is night. And that was the only time I would. I didn't really try the morning too much because I just so strongly believed I couldn't do it. And then at some point, I decided I was going to start waking up early and doing things differently. And I tried writing in the morning before I did anything, and it was so much better than writing at night for me, and everybody's different, but it really was like, it's before anything else is going on. I haven't read any emails. I haven't gone on social media. I've done nothing at all. And my mind is just totally clear and ready to create. And I just never thought that would be possible until I actually tried it. So it is just one of those things where you have to like play around with your own, schedule and see how you literally write. Don't make any assumptions about the time of the day, but just try,
Right. No, I think it's, I'm just so fresh. And I think sometimes when I get up, it's like they're already talking to me. I mean, seriously, it's like an insane asylum up
Let me have my
here.
coffee first.
Like, well, yeah, it's like, calm down, let me have my caffeine, then you can get back to me. And that's kind of, yeah, I mean, it's an urgency almost sometimes when I get up, and it's like, oh, I gotta get this out. So
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm not a romantic comedy person, so I'm not sure if you understand the question. By Harry Navarro says, "What do you think about the short form, the flash fiction, and the mighty drabble?"
I don't like the short form. I don't like flash fiction. I just, I want to read something that's lengthy and that's got some substance. I think sometimes the flash fiction, unless it's written really well, is I don't know, it's just too loose. It's not compact, it's not tight. The plots sometimes aren't as solid as your typical longer story. So not really a fan.
I think the key to writing it's not easy to write. It's definitely not easy.
Right.
Flash fiction, microfiction, all that kind of stuff. It can be a good tool if you are a verbose writer and you find Richard's like, stop, no.
Stop it, no.
I'm an epic fantasy writer. We do nothing short.
No. I think it's one of those things that like you either like it or you don't kind of a thing. But if you are someone who writes like overwrites and you know that you overwrite and you need to stop, it can help to just kind of practice by saying, this is how many words I have. Let me see how far I can get this down.
Mm-hmm.
And so now listen, Richard. But like, one of the bonuses of it is that literally every word has to count, or else you're not doing a good job.
Right.
So right. I mean, and to, like you're saying, to fit a plot in there, you really, really have to use every word. You need the action to be constant. It's not an easy thing to do well. So, I totally agree. It's something that you have to be like into and work at. It's totally not something to sit down and have fun with as much, I would think. It's I think it's something that you work on as like a way to express yourself differently in very short form.
I agree.
Did you see me shiver when you said the word plot? That's a 4-letter word to me.
Yeah, actually, we're all pantsers. All three of us. I think,
nice. Yes, right? Good. That's what works for me. Yeah.
Because you are, Allison, right? You just write. You don't write like an outline or anything.
No. I just write, which is
we have
crazy.
A whole panel right here.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
I can't imagine like doing all that. I got to get it out. And
even if I plot, I had one character after 35 years that was going to end the book, and then when I actually got to writing that part of the book, he did something totally out the wall, and he'd never made it to the end of the book. So, I'm glad I didn't spend 35 years plotting, because it would have went to nothing.
Right. I feel like it gives my characters a little bit more freedom when I haven't confined them into what I think. It's like what happened today with Nina. She went off in a totally different direction. I was not planning that. So yeah, it's fun.
David's on our side.
Yeah. David Kelly says pants for the win. So
yeah, I feel the same kind of thing. I'm like, I am held back by outlines. They make things overcomplicated for me most of the time. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people find it freeing, the ones who are into outlining, and they're just like, if I do my outline, then I have an easy time writing the whole book. But for all of us, I guess it's the opposite for us when we sort of discover along the way. And isn't there something so special about that? It just, like you're saying, you come up with one of those things where you fill a plot hole or someone surprises you, and it's one of the best feelings that you can experience as a writer, maybe besides finishing the book.
I like the element of surprise. Yes. Like if it's like, oh wow, that was unexpected. Okay, let's go that way. I like the element of surprise. I don't, I methodically planning out everything doesn't sound fun to me. And I want writing to be fun. And if I'm having fun with it, then I know I'm doing it the best way I know how.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I find pantsing is, as I'm writing the book, I'm also reading the book. So I'm like a reader. I'm
Yes.
discovering the book as just
Yes.
like a reader would. And I have as much excitement reading my book as I would, Terry Brooks' book in fantasy. So
Yeah.
it's fun doing it that way because I have no idea what the characters are going to do next. I
I
generally know the ending, but I
know.
don't know where it's going to get there.
I don't even know the ending to my second book.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. I'm so
Exciting.
excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens. I mean, it's obviously going to be happily ever after because it is a romantic comedy. But yeah, I have no idea. So
Yeah, the how of it, exactly.
more
How
will
is it
be
gonna happen?
revealed.
Yeah.
So I read on your blog, I think it's a blog post that you've got a big day coming up on February 11th.
Yeah, so I am actually, I know it's the pandemic, but I've got a really wonderful support system, and one of which owns a lovely boutique here in Louisville, and they're hosting a book signing, very safe book signing with lots of social distancing, and I've got my new mask that I just ordered. It says, "I'm not here, I'm writing." So I'll be wearing that. And so we're going to do a book signing there, and from 5 to 7. So if you're in Louisville, Kentucky, come to Cartwheels. That's where we'll be. But it will be very safe, I promise. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's a weird time to publish a book. You don't get the same kind of, fanfare. It's all very restricted. So you have to be very creative in your marketing. So yeah. Oh, speaking of, can I show my book?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Nice.
I was going to do some subtle like product placing, so all over the house. But since I had some technical issues with the computer, it wouldn't going to work. Oh, yeah, there you go. So I even have a T-shirt on that says "Right On," but I don't know that you can see it. Oh, there you go.
A little bit. Yeah.
So when did you actually get the physical book?
So I got well, you know how they do those the print preview ones where so I got that before like at beginning of December.
And they're ruining the cover on you?
Yes. Yeah. And I hate that. But anyway, I was so excited. It's so exciting to like hold it and to
nothing quite like
it. There isn't. It's just like it's real. It's oh my God, I can't even believe it. And so so I have a box of several boxes in our guest bedroom that are ready for signing because I've had people that want that. And so yeah, it's fun. It's exciting. David wants to see it again.
He missed it,
Okay. See,
there you go. Yeah, keep it there for me.
So awesome. Pretty.
That is nice.
They did a really nice job. Yeah. So it's it's just it's real. I love it when it you think you go through the whole process and then it comes to fruition and it's like, okay, I did it.
When did it all feel real to you? Like did it take the book in your hand to actually make you feel like you're actually an author, or was that before then?
I think that I think when I got it in my hand was when it was like, oh shit, this really happened. See, I'm cussing on live broadcast. Yay.
It's okay.
You did do valiantly the rest of the time.
I haven't used the F word and I won't because I'll have a filter on. But yeah, I think holding it in my hand and seeing it just kind of it made it really real. Now on Thursday, because Thursday's a release date, and I think that is going to be the second kind of moment where
get your first sale online for sure. Oh, congratulations! I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I know we only have a few minutes left, but I did just want to ask you, Allison, I know a lot of writers struggle with rewrites and everyone has to rewrite stuff, whether it's huge sections or small sections or whatever it may be in their manuscript. Literally everyone has to do it at some point. So I wanted to ask you, what is your advice about when you need to rewrite an entire scene? It can be overwhelming. It can be something that an author puts off, and just does not want to do. Do you have any advice as to how you went about it to either ease it for other people or just good advice for them?
I feel like you because I know when you sent me back, here's what I would suggest you do. I agreed with almost everything you had suggested, and I think that's the part is to find somebody that you can be accountable to, that you trust, and because I'm not the best judge of my own writing. You know, I might think something is amazing and somebody else is going to go, that doesn't even make any sense. So I think it's just being really open-minded and being willing to look at it with a different perspective. And then, yeah, the rewriting really sucks. But, you know, I love holding this book because this is all the rewrites done like 500 times. And there's the finished product. So, you know.
That's awesome.
The rewrites are just part of the process.
That's the way to think of it. Definitely. CJ says, good luck with the launch and congrats.
Thanks, CJ.
Perfect. And I think that's the perfect way to wrap up the show. So thank you so much for being on, Allison. And tell us where we can find you. Tell us your website, any social media, anything you have.
So you can go to www.authorallisonjones.com, and it has all my links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest is a huge deal apparently. So come join the fun.
That's awesome, Allison. Thanks for coming on, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Very exciting, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. We'll
Bye-bye.
see you next time.